Let's explore the pettiness trap of patriarchy. This morning's lesson is drawn from the 63rd verse of yong-jig xuan-jue's The Song of Enlightenment. Together. Elephants do not follow rabbit trails. Enlightenment is not confined by minor rules. Do not vilify the sky when you are looking at it through a reed. If you still do not understand, this is for you. Okay, let's roll up our sleeves and dig in. Elephants do not follow rabbit trails. In Mahayana Buddhism, there was a phrase in Sanskrit, Mahasattva, which could be translated as great being or great spirit. I am reminded of a wonderful quip attributed to Albert Einstein. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from lesser minds. Let's return to our description of patriarchy. When we are rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, as opposed to being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, then we are in the thralls of spiritual patriarchy. So, allow me to share some stuff from my life. As someone who is neurodivergent, I have a shit ton of limitations, but I do have some talents. And one of the major quests of my life, in addition to simply managing my limitations, is to cultivate and use my talents. But here's the damnedest thing. Members of patriarchy are more interested in controlling others than serving humanity. I've mentioned time and again that when you go to places around the world where there are fishermen who catch or trap crabs. You'll see live crabs stored in large, rounded off, squared, often blue containers. Very big, like 5x5 or 7x7. Huge things. And occasionally you'll see a crab try to make a break for it. And rather than join him, his fellows will pull him back in. In psychology, there's something known, or at least used to be known, as systems therapy. The system longs to maintain homeostasis. It would rather maintain things than improve things. Patriarchy is about control. It's more about harming those around you or exploiting those around you than in helping oneself in a truly meaningful and sustainable way. Short-term benefits with long-term costs. That's what patriarchy is about, sadly. Often. Not always, but often. So when I was very young, in my late teens, I wanted to use my talents for hermeneutics and composition and public speaking to become first I thought about becoming a rabbi, and then my spiritual adventures took me to Christianity, and then my spiritual adventures took me into New Age and Hinduism and Taoism, and finally settled into Buddhism. And all I wanted to do was use my skills, increase my knowledge to benefit others. There are people who are just more interested in domineering and controlling and exploiting and harming others, including myself. I remember being a member of I'm not going to drop names, but I was a member of a monastery, very famous Mahayana meditation teacher. And his monks were some were stupid, and some were just cruel, predatory. not even subtle, just, you could hear the Imperial March when they walked in the room. And these people were not interested in what was effective. They were not interested in enlightenment or helping people. They were interested in status quo and controlling people. And I've met people like that who practice sutra. I've met people like that who practice tantra. I've met people like that in every sect of Buddhism. I've met people like that in every facet of humanity, vocationally, recreationally, in every gender, in every continent that I've been on. I've met a lot of people just like that. And these people are either controlled by fear or rigidity or the desire to control others. And either they sincerely tell tales of fear or deceitfully tell tales of fear for the purpose of controlling others. And they are so lost in the thrall of minutia that they bury themselves alive, like the victim in the cask of Amontillado. I'm reminded of Morpheus, who warned Neo, most people cannot be helped. So start by helping yourself, and then help those who want your help. We are to traverse the path of elephants, not a rabbit. The minor rules are useful for many things, but not useful for enlightenment. Consider, if you will, allegedly the Buddha's first sermon, the Four Noble Truths, that conclude by referring to the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is Buddhism in a nutshell. 50% of the Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness, wishing love, followed by kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce. So here is the wild thing. The easiest form of mindfulness and meditation is also the most pleasurable form of mindfulness and meditation, and the most spiritually productive form of mindfulness and meditation. In his discourse, the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha talked about the 7 enlightenment factors. The fourth one is joy. If we are not practicing Buddhism, if we are not practicing meditation in a way that makes us joyful, then in the words of Bugs Bunny, we have taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque. I've never met a perfectionist who was peaceful and joyful and loving. I've never met a control freak who was peaceful and joyful and loving. I want to be peaceful and joyful and loving, and I think you do too. I think that's probably why you're looking at my silly face and watching this silly video. You, like me, want to be the person that our dog already thinks we are. So here's the irony. When we get stuck in the two extremes of either mind blanking, let me rephrase this, active mind blanking or active concentration, we exhaust our prefrontal cortex, which invites the symptoms of depression, and our blood tends to pool in the lower part of our brain, in a region called the amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. So if that's how you want to be, if you want to be controlled by anxiety and aggression and manifest the symptoms of depression, that's how you do it. But here's the irony. If you use the autonomic nervous system the way it has evolved to be used, then mindfulness and meditation will not only be effortless and will not only be effective, but as a delicious fringe benefit, our blood mass will collect at our anterior cingulate gyrus, which is a winning answer in Scrabble. The anterior cingulate gyrus is a few inches behind our forehead. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. The highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived, and when our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Do not be surprised when you are referred to as an enlightened one. I really look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So, this morning, we're going to play with the latest iteration of Easy Tantra. Who are these Buddhas and why are they doing the hibbity-dibbity? We will explore that in several minutes. We're going to flip-flop back and forth between mantra meditation and silent meditation. So let's begin. A good beginning place, a good starting place, is just reviewing the meaning of the mantra. The 14th Dalai Lama, in his discourse that has come to be known as the Path to Enlightenment, insisted that every Lama is his own sect. So my views are my own. They're the product of many teachers, but these are my conclusions. If you like them, mazel tov. If you think I'm evil, that you're entitled to your point of view. Together, let's chant. Om Ahuma invoke the student's teachings, an example of the Vasha Guru Tantric teacher that mastered Padma wisdom's purity and Siddhi love's power. Let's try this again. That mastered Padma wisdom's purity and Siddhi love's power, who may all accomplish his attainments. So here is the flavor of the vast majority of this morning's practices. We're going to bring the spontaneous play of mind into Slice Through's path of awareness and letting go. It is known by many names. Such as Dzogchen's Great Completion Stage, Sutra Mahamudra, Ati Yoga, and Treksho, which translates into English as Slice Through. So it's super simple. During our inhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite, relaxing into the awareness of this. Now, a super intelligent question in the spirit of the early 90s band, Faith No More, would be, what is this? What is this? All the OGs are laughing right now, or at least face palming. So this is whatever we spontaneously notice in the moment. We don't force it, we don't contrive it, it just happens. So whatever sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents come up, whatever emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings come up, whether they are external or internal or physical or mental or pleasurable or painful or interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque. Once again, cue the Imperial March. We notice them. And that takes courage. During our exhalation, as we chant this 12-syllable mantra, we relax as best we can. And believe it or not, enlightenment can be just that easy. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum. As children, the first bicycle we most likely received came with training wheels, which, although were clunky, got the job done. Similarly, this morning's first meditation is going to be somewhat ungainly. How are we going to practice sati pasadi? Simple. During our inhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And during our exhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Those stuck in minutia sometimes get scared about their eyes. Some think they should close them, some think they should open them, some think they should gaze at the sky, some people feel they should gaze at the horizon, others are certain they should gaze at the earth. Experiment. Do what comes spontaneously and feels sustainable to you. Om Ahum Vararo Guru Mama Zeri Hum. 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 Now let us remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables per breath down to just 3. How we're going to practice Chan's mindfulness meditation, the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? Simple. During our inhalation, we're going to silently and mentally recite sitting tall, which helps us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. And as we exhale, we're going to silently and mentally recite relaxing, which helps us to both physically relax as well as mentally release. As we're sitting tall, we set space for our body to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. Bit of the old mantra meditation. Om Ahum Vararo Guru Manmaziri Hum. 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 How are we to practice jhanas, mindfulness, meditation? Simple. The key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite and notice this as we breathe in. The key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite is to silently and mentally recite relaxing as we breathe out. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum. Now, excuse me. Now, let us remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing the length of our contemplative exercise from 3 syllables per breath down to just 1. How will we practice the great seals, mindfulness, and meditation? Simple. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Now that we have reached contemplative cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as General Leia Organa upon Ajahn Kloss under the guidance of her teacher, Luke Skywalker. Oh, look, a question. Good morning, James. I'm gonna read your question. Here we loud and proud. Good morning, Lama. My question today is, does getting angry with rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel people make you any less than a Buddhist if you return to mindfulness and regain composure? That is an astute question, senor. So here's how it works. Who we are is not determined by what we feel. Who we are is determined by what we do with what we feel. Sometimes we will handle our feelings in a very skillful way. Bravissimo. Other times we will handle our feelings in a less than skillful way. And we can either use that as fuel to fan the flames of our own self-loathing, or we can learn. A Buddha is not perfect. A Buddha has simply mastered the Eightfold Path. Mastering the Eightfold Path does not mean you cease to experience, to be subject to all myriad of things out of our control. It merely means we're getting good at the path, so good that we're able to practice the path spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. So, for instance, just because you master tying your shoes does not mean your shoelaces will ever come undone. And it does not mean that just because you master tying your shoes that in a state of befuddlement and fatigue and distraction, you might have to work harder at tying your shoes one day, one moment than another moment. Now, our inner accuser, or the jackasses that surround us, are happy to tell us how horrible we are. Gee, guys, thanks. So, our job is not to repress our anger, but to bring it into the path of awareness and release. Release doesn't mean shoving the anger away. It means letting go of our inherent resistance. So here's the funny thing. When men typically learn how to do patriarchal tantra, which is about ejaculation control largely, they learn, if they're fortunate, that by simply relaxing into their exhalation, it makes ejaculation very difficult. Same thing with sneezing. Before a sneeze, what happens? You have an short, involuntary inhalations, and then an explosive release. If you were to relax, you couldn't have that explosive release. So, as we feel ourselves experiencing resistance to our perceptions, or emotions, or intentions, or cognitions, or recollections, or imaginings, we notice it and we relax. And we involuntarily, after that experience, love's centered spontaneity. That's sometimes called expedient means. Now, expedient means is not us trying to be clever and manipulate people for the best of motivations to do the best of things. True expedient means comes from centered spontaneity. So, for instance, let's look at your partner. Your partner could be Jesus Christ himself. He will still, on occasion, find your last nerve and dance on it. Not out of malice, just because he's human and he's waging his own battle between his ears, just like everybody else. When that happens, it don't mean he don't love you. It don't mean you're not ready to be in a relationship. It just means It's something going on for you to work through in mindfulness and meditation. Once you're fully enlightened, you will still feel the full spectrum of perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings, from the glorious to the grotesque. But you will get better and better at working with them. So yes, when I listen to Democracy Now! For free on YouTube while I'm shaving, I have to work very hard not to have a stroke when I hear about people who look just like me, half a world away, committing genocide and then lying about it. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, I know exactly what it's like to feel the full spectrum of human emotions. But as you get better and better, they will control your choices and your utterances and deeds less and less and less. They will still be there, but they will transform from a Bengal tiger to a mewling kitten. It's still there, but it's going to do far less damage. Om Om Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Om Guru Manmaziri Hum. For the next several minutes, or next several cycles, I would like to explore the iconography of this archetype right here. Let's begin with the name. In Sanskrit, this could be described as Samantabhadra, Samantabhadri, Karama Mudra. In Tibet, this could be described as Kuntu Zongpo, Kuntu Zongmo, Yab Yum. A literal translation might be the all-good one mother and the all-good one father sporting in tantric union. But Weisenheimer over here likes to describe it as cloud gal and sky guy doing the hibbity-dibbity. Om Mahum Vararo Guru Mamaziri Hum 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 Om Mahum Vararo Guru Mamaziri Hum. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we access a sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. No, it has not evolved for active mind blanking or for active concentration, but instead to simply notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, and randomly. Perhaps that is why Cloud Gal and Sky Guy are depicted as naked. Om Mahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum. By the way, welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. And of course, press the send icon. It doesn't work unless you unless you tap the send icon. So every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are automatically and effortlessly accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced with both the lower lumbar region and the tippy top of the cervical region of our spinal cord. It is evolved for both physical relaxation and mental release. In fact, and this is pretty cool, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during the previous inhalation could feel less graspable. Now let's get figurative. It can begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. What's a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand? Perhaps that is why Cloud Gal and Sky Guy are depicted as being comprised only of light, translucent and non-graspable as an optical illusion, or as the reflection of the full moon in a basin of water at midnight. Om Mahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum Om Ahum Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum. The more we work with our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system, the less our blood coalesces at our aggressive and anxious amygdala, and the more it collects in our empathetic anterior cingulate gyrus just behind our forehead, an inch or two. Perhaps that is why Cloud Gal and Sky Guy are depicted as being beautiful. Om Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Om Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum. Notice how Cloud Gal appears to be sporting in a tantric union, in wanton abandon. Perhaps this could remind us that spontaneity trumps contrivance. Om Vajra Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Om Mahum Vararo Guru Mama Siri 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 Hum Om Ahum Vararo Guru Mama Siri Hum Om Ahum Vararo Guru Mama Siri Hum. Consider, if you will, the stability with which Sky Guy sits in the midst of tantric union. Perhaps this could remind us that not all spontaneity is scattered. The highest is centered. Reminding us also, or further, that when our choices, utterances, and our utterances, and our deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our life is like a paradise. Om Ahum Vararo Guru Mama Siri Hum 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 Om Ahum Vararo Guru Mama Siri Hum. Om Mahum Vararo Guru Manmaziri Hum 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 Let us slice through the duality of hope and fear. Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum 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 Om Ahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum 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 Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum. Let's seal this practice with a love that wishes for the universal mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all master letting go and love. Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Ahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum. May all master kind communication, conduct, and commerce. And you'll notice that there are little subscriptions of numbers here, reminding you which fold of the Eightfold Path these items belong to. Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Ahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum. May all master the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum. May all master mindfulness and meditation. Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum Om Mahum Vajra Guru Mamaziri Hum. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.